Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Glory of the Delver achievement and most importantly the Ivory Goliathus mount and how you can get this mount in World of Warcraft, and basically I think some tips and tricks on how to complete these as quick as possible. So yeah, let's take a look. So first, what is the Glory of the Delver? Now if you go to the Delve section of the achievements, you will see that there is the Glory of the Delver achievement, and this achievement is, I would say, very straightforward, but there are a couple tips and tricks about it. Now you need to complete basically 10 sub-achievements to then complete the Glory of the Delver achievement, which will then reward you with the Ivory Goliathus. Now, a lot of these achievements are incredibly straightforward. We're going to talk about tips on the vast majority of them. So yeah, let's see how it goes. The first achievement is the easiest, but you will complete this one in the process of completing all the others, being the War Within Tier 8. So this one requires you to simply complete a Tier 8 delve. Now, because certain achievements like Spore Sweeper, I Take Candle, Just Keep Swimming, Spider Senses, and Daystormer require you to complete the delves on Tier 8, unfortunately, you can't just stop at 1. But in the process of completing these other ones, you'll complete this naturally. The next one is Delve Master or Delve Loremaster. Now, this one is the achievement that's probably going to take you the longest time, and it's a very straightforward reason for that. So it requires you to essentially finish the various storylines or different variants of each single delve. So for example, you see if we come to the Kriegval stories, we've completed all 3 variants of the Kriegval ones. Now, although this one is one that takes a while, you can do it on Tier 1. So as you get stronger and as you complete the game, you can go to delves and complete it on Tier 1. So you don't have to do it on Tier 8, 9, etc. You can do it on Tier 1, make it super easy, run through it super quick. On top of that as well, you can see which variant is up on the top right hand screen, or on the top right hand here. And that'll give you an idea of what to do. So for example, in Fungal Folly, as I can see here, which I've already completed, but I can see which story I'm going to get done. These change daily on reset, so just coming through each day, when you log on, seeing which ones are available and knocking out the ones you don't have, it's going to make your life a lot easier. Just smack them on level 1. Leave no treasure unfound. Now this one requires you to find all these sturdy chests within a delve. So again, this one can be completed on Tier 1. You don't have to complete this one on Tier 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. You only have to open the sturdy chests. Again, you can complete this on Tier 1, but you do have to be mindful that some delves have chests that are available only on certain variants. So for example, like the Skittering Breach, if the Shadow Realm storyline is up, you're unable to get the chests there. So if you've been doing delves for a while and you like, wow, I can't believe that I have, some missing chests, basically these come from the different storylines. Now I will say, for me, just as like a thing, this one also takes a while, and it's one that I have like 1 or 2 left in every single delve. So try to keep your eyes out when you go through them on initial clears, especially since you're doing the story variants, and try to knock those 2 out simultaneously. It's generally speaking going to be a lot easier for you to do it while running the storylines one than it is going to be to try and come back and do this one straight away. Speaking of which, I will also have all the locations of the chests down in my description. Some of them will only be available during certain storylines. I'll leave a note there next to them, but you can pop those locations into TomTom and it should be able to help you out. There's a lot of them, Some of them are very simple to get. I'll also leave a link to Wowhead, which also features a guide to this as well. So next we take a look at Spore Sweeper, Take Candle, Just Keep Swimming, Spider Senses, and Daystormer. Now each of these 5 can only be completed during certain types of delves, and I'm going to give you tips on how to complete all of them. Each of them has to be done on tier 8 or higher. So for example, for Spore Sweeper, you have to do it on tier 8. For example, if we look at the Take Candle, has to be done on tier 8. And I will say, these are a lot easier, personally speaking, if you are using or playing solo. I know it sounds really bad, but especially like the spores, the breath, the spider senses, these all, and Daystormer, these are all a lot harder with multiple people. But let's begin. So for Spore Sweeper, the goal is to do or get through the spores without getting hit by them. Now this can be a bit challenging, but the trick that I find the most useful overall is stunning the spores. So if you stun the spores and then move out of their way, you won't be hit by them, and generally there you can have some pretty good time. So stunning them, I find at least works best. Otherwise, just continuously move. I know it can be difficult, especially with certain classes, but continuing to move, making sure you're watching their health is the most important part. It sometimes can be a bit messy, but just focus on not getting hit by the spores, and note that the moment they hit 0 health is when you generally want to kind of run down and get past them. For the Take Candle achievement, this requires you to manage your buffs of your candle or air totem. Now this is easiest done in Kriegval's Rest, largely because of the layout of the map. It does just make life a lot easier. It's very straight, direct, there's nothing too crazy. On top of that as well, there's 2 major suggestions I tend to want to give people. So firstly, watch obviously your stacks of the candle, very, very important. But there's a couple of things that are important. So for example, if we're here fighting the kobolds, we can drop the candle. This will not remove stacks from the candle and allows us to kind of run around. This is the first crucial thing, especially if you are a ranged character or something like that. So for example, we can pull over here, grab these characters, then we can drop the candle. Excellent. And now we can kind of fight around and move a little bit whilst retaining the stacks without needing to essentially have the candle expire. And that's the first kind of real tip I'll give. Especially I notice in group settings people don't drop the candle. Very highly advisable. Secondly, if you can, try and pull characters around these replenish zones. Wherever you see a replenish zone, fighting around it is ideal, because then firstly you don't have to worry about it ever going out, and especially with Kriegval's Rest, your goal is largely to recover keepsakes or fight these characters. You can just leave your candle here and just kind of go pick it all up, which is really, really good. So that's generally what I would suggest for this one. Next we're going to talk about Just Keep Swimming. This achievement requires you to successfully complete a Cobus delve without ever running out of breath. So Takrathon, the sinkhole. But the thing is, honestly, I'm going to be very straight here. This achievement is not hard in any way, shape or form. Yes, you have to clear it on a tier 8, but you can buy the Dranic breathing potion, so Dranic water breathing elixir. It's available on the auction house. It costs you like 700 gold. It persists through death, so you don't have to worry about respending it, and it will completely, so you activate it and then boom, you don't have to worry. You can go into the water, you breathe under the water, and you're done. So this one is very simple. As long as you have 900 gold. If you don't have 900 gold, go get 900 gold. Like, don't really worry about this one. In this one, we're going to take a look at spider senses. Now, spider senses is easiest done in Earthcrawl mines. Spider senses requires you to not be hit by any enemies that spawn from webs or by any of the eggs. So it's pretty straightforward. Honestly speaking, I don't find this one too hard no matter which one, but there are a couple tips. So firstly, the floor. Obviously we want to avoid webs. There are some mobs that will push you back. It's very important to take note of those mobs and the charges. So there's like these charges that kind of will charge at you. These will tend to knock you out the way, cause you issues. Secondly, look at using your grappling hook. It's very important. And otherwise, you will notice there are eggs strewn around the delve. So you don't see them so much in the beginning here, but you do see eggs around the delve. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to avoid AoE around those eggs. So for example, where I place my AoE as a character, very important, because if you explode the egg, it'll do damage and could potentially hit you. But honestly, the AoE and the eggs are relatively tanky. It's not like you insta-kill them. And I think personally, you should be more than fine. This one was the easiest. I mean, I even did it passively with my group, so it was not that difficult. The last of the, dodge, delve, environmental challenges is Daystormer. And this one is pretty simple. It's actually one that's just difficult in a party because of space. I highly suggest out of all of them that you use Nightfall Sanctum, because it just has more space than the other delve that does the skittering breach. And so avoiding these giant purple circles is a lot easier. Sometimes there'll also be different mechanics that require you to destroy them, but generally speaking it's actually quite simple. The problem is in a group, and when you fight you tend to get close to the circles. Just pull all enemies away from the circles, and that's what makes Nightfall Sanctum probably the best one to do so in, because pulling the enemies away is relatively simple, whereas in the other ones it can be quite difficult. But yeah, this one is really just pretty straightforward. It's just that playing with friends and bigger parties can make the fight a bit messier. Probably a lot easier if you're ranged as well. Just in general, remember Brann won't trigger the purple circle, and neither will the pet, which is pretty important. So yeah, basically that's it. The final achievement is the Nemesis achievement. Now the Nemesis achievement is one that's going to be quite frustrating depending on your class, player, item level, etc. This requires you to defeat Zekfir inside Zekfir's lair. So Zekfir's lair is a very different delve. It's entirely optional, well, unless you're doing the achievement, and basically you need to defeat Zekfir inside the delve. He's one singular solo boss. What you're going to want to do with Zekfir is a couple things. So firstly, what's super important is that you're going to want to focus on having a decent item level. It's tiered or geared for around 600 being your item level. Super duper important. Secondly as well, look at bringing things like war drums, look at bringing things like flasks. I know it sounds silly, but getting flasks, getting war drums, giving yourself a haste, giving yourself a war drums, giving yourself enchantments, looking to give yourself that edge, your set bonus, etc. is all very important. It's going to help you in terms of winning. And finally, Brann. So as your season goes on, as you get Brann to a higher level, his damage goes up, and the Brann that you take in is based on your Brann that you use for every other delve. So no matter what, the higher level your Brann, the easier your time with Zekfir is going to be. So that is it. That is pretty much everything. The last achievement is the Brann's Development. So this one requires you to have a level 25 Brann. Now I will say level 25 Brann is not that hard. He requires more EXP as he goes up. Now bountiful delves are going to be your best bet of leveling him. And remember, even if you're a new player just starting, bountiful delves require you to have a restored coffer key. You can see them on the map. They're these delves that have these big open symbols. Now, just because maybe you're starting late doesn't mean you can't get Brann to level 25 quickly. especially under, I'd say, level 30. He levels pretty quickly, and your bountiful keys you get from chests that you complete weekly. So you get them from completing weekly world quests, from opening up things like your pinnacle chests, etc. And you know, a lot of these obviously help you out a ton. So like you see here, pinnacle chests, and that they all contain a restored coffer key. You can also eventually buy them, but by the time you get there, you are going to be way past level 25 with Brann. Something that's important is that you can do this with alts as well. So if you're a player that's just kind of getting into it and you really want to push this, you can level 2 alts, and you can easily complete this by just, you know, going through the bountiful delve. Within the delves, there's also treasures and sturdy chests, and these will increase your player EXP. They help, and obviously collecting all of them does help, but the vast majority comes from just completing bountiful delve runs, which is the most important. And that is that. That's tips on how to complete all of the achievements. I'd say none of them are distinctly hard. It's just that naturally you're probably not going to passively finish, I would say definitely these two, without doing in a little bit of effort and trying to see what you're missing and where they are. That's really about it. The rest are all actually fairly simple to do. Nemesis probably being the hardest, it requires you to have a certain item level, but since you have to complete at the very minimum for this this achievement, you have to complete at the very minimum 1 2 3 4 5 delves at level tier 8 or higher. You should be able to have picked up some decent gear to at least get through it. So yeah, that's it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you need any help with anything, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.